Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please. Is that you, Mr. Previous? Oh, no. Please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the AM docket, I'll call the very first case. Tracy Proietti, LL Pro Hospitality, Baltimore, LLC, trading as Revival at Mount Vernon Place. This is a Joao de Verbi property, 612 Cathedral Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor hotel motel license. Requires a dining room with serving facilities of 125 people, at least 100 rooms, and 3, capital investment of $500,000. This request is for off-premise catering as well. Please come forward.
Happy New Year. Good morning, everybody. Since this is the first case, for those of you who have not been before the board before, when your case is called, if you'll come forward, we're on the record, being televised as well as recorded. So when you come up, you'll have to be sworn. And then once you're sworn, if you speak, if you would lean into the microphone and give us your name. And if the name is at all unusual, please spell it for our reporter. Okay?
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, representing the applicant.
Good morning. Ladies, would you raise your right hands, please?
How do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Mr.
This
Kanansky.
is a request for a hotel license. This location had a license for a period of years. Unfortunately, in June of 2016, they closed for major renovations, as a result of which the license lapsed. And they have to.
This is at Mount Vernon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Same applicant was approved before, same location. They're going to have between 104 and 107 rooms. I'm going to give you each a packet. Usually I don't do this. I'm not that nice about it, but it's a new year.
Is it new year, new Mel?
For now.
We're so grateful.
And make it just cumulatively Exhibit 1. And there,
It will be received.
and there has a little write-up about the new Peabody Court Hotel that's in Mount Vernon. Has the floor plans. It has your menus that are in there. The UNO is in there. The capital investment up to this point and what has been provided is about $12 million at this point, and it's continuing. The projected date for opening would be maybe sometime in the next several months. They're going to try to get together for the spring season and so forth. So there's been quite a bit of work in there. There's a couple of resumes of some of the people that are involved, and it's got very good write-ups, and I think it's going to be a real good addition to the city. Be operated absolutely as a hotel, service throughout. So we provided the proof of 104 rooms they have the UNO for. It's probably going to 107 eventually. It just it's going to be a couple more rooms. The renovations amount up actually spent up to date. They had previously had a license. You have the full menu and the UNO. If the board has any questions.
So which one of you ladies is Tracy Proietti? Okay. Did I say it correctly?
You said it correctly, yes.
Okay. So are you managing the entire operation or just the restaurant and alcohol part of this?
No, I'm actually part of the ownership group, the
Okay.
development group.
Okay. And the other ladies are?
Please state your name.
Good morning. My name's Beth Brainerd. I'm the general manager, so I work for Two Roads Hospitality and will oversee the property.
Good morning.
Your last name, I didn't get it.
Brainard.
And I'm Amy Giblin. I work for Two Roads Hospitality, and I'm the Director of Finance.
Thank you. Good morning. Okay.
Last name, please.
Giblin.
Okay. So it's going to open in the spring, and the alcohol is going to be served on premises?
Throughout, as a regular hotel, and they have banquet rooms, and they have a rooftop area. It seems that's the big deal nowadays. I call it the Lord Baltimore, now it's the Radisson or so, and next door on the other side, they all want to have rooftop dining. I don't know what they're looking at, but it's fine with me.
As long as it's not on a day like this.
No, it's like, used to know a guy in the neighborhood, Shoot the Moon. Maybe that's what they're looking for, Shoot the Moon.
And these ladies have been doing this in the past, so they have lots of experience.
She was a prior licensee when the license was there for about 2 years. Unfortunately, when they closed down, they just didn't follow the renewal, got too far along, so they had to reapply.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
Mr. Kudensky, can you or Ms. Brainerd or someone just on the record speak to the actual improvements or investment, the capital investment, what things were done?
They put in $12 million, and who wants to explain what was done?
yeah.
Go ahead, step up.
Tracy Peretti. With specific regard to the guest rooms, they have followed the same floor plan of the original hotel. While at that time there was 104 rooms, we modified 2 of the sets of rooms that were a 2-room suite, and then separated another room out to become the 107 rooms. So that was new FF&E, new finishes, so furniture, fixtures, equipment in the guest rooms. We kept the same floor plan, but throughout cosmetic renovation of the guest rooms. At the rooftop, as you might recall, those of you familiar with the Peabody Court Hotel, looked like a large glass Wendy's kind of greenhouse. We worked with the National Park Service, Maryland Historic Trust, and CHAP to have them allow us to remove that outdated, antiquated structure and replace it with an entire new, more environmentally feasible and operations feasible glass structure. So the entire place will be enclosed. 4 seasons. We revived the restaurant at the rooftop. So that was a major undertaking.
The name of that restaurant 30 years ago?
Originally, it was the Conservatory. It was also then a Michel Richard, Citronelle.
That's right, that's the one I recall.
Excuse me, do you have a spreadsheet showing the amount of money invested in this project?
Well,
It's on what we submitted, yeah.
Oh,
so that is
wrong
it.
place.
That what I provided.
If you want me.
There you go.
What I provided to Mel is something that is provided as on a monthly basis from our project management group, and it's the monthly draw. It shows our projected forecast for the project through completion, as well as spend to date, in addition to what has been approved. So, unfortunately for us, you see that what was the approved budget and what is the forecasted budget to completion grew a little bit. But then back to the first and second floors. I didn't address those with you. We'll be bringing back an entire 3-meal restaurant to the first floor. And those of you that may be familiar with the building when it was an apartment building, that was the first floor was the cafeteria for the Mount Vernon Place apartments. So we're bringing that restaurant back to the first floor, and the lobby will be at the second floor.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any questions? All right, anything further, Mr. Kudensky?
Nothing more, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
On the basis of the materials that are contained in the application, the exhibit which we've received today, which is rather extensive, the proffers from council, and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the application.
I concur.
I would concur as well. Good luck.
Good luck, ladies.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you
Hope it
for-
goes well.
Thank you for the.
How many iterations has this hotel had now?
Well, under our ownership group, this is its 3rd iteration.
Okay.
Under prior, I think it was maybe 6.
They say 3 is the charm, though.
Okay. Good thing. It's our 3rd. It's charming.
Any exhibits to introduce into the record?
Thank you, appreciate it. Yes, I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
Applicant Exhibit 1, collective packet, including articles about the establishment, expenditure breakdown, menu, floor plan, and use and occupancy permit.
Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Steve Monnier, Jeffrey Schultz, and Adam Litchfield, Che Hugo LLC, trading as Che Hugo, 206 East Redwood Street. This is a Class B, a beer, wine, and liquor license, an application for a new Class B restaurant license requiring $500,000 in capital investment, seating capacity for a minimum of 75. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Can I ask you folks to raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Again, good morning again, Mr. Chairman. This is an application for a new Class B restaurant license under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverages Article, Section 12-1604C22, which actually requires a $700,000 investment, seating of not less than 75 seats, and an average daily receipts of food to alcohol of at least 65%. And we believe we meet all of that. If I may proceed by way of a proffer, the licensees, Steve Monnier, Jeffrey Schatz, and Adam Litchfield are here. Also present today is Ms. Jean Griffith-Thompson, who is the marketing director of the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company next door, and I'm going to explain that this is not a related ownership, but a related to, the concept is to help the clientele of the Shakespeare Theater. Also here, Mr. Scott Helm, who is one of the co-owners and the owner of the building.
But as Mr. Previs knows, I dine at Werner's regularly, and I have, with great interest, observed the cleaning out of this facility on across Redwood Street for the last at least year, hasn't it been? So I'm interested to know what's going to go there.
We'll be happy to give you a place to have dinner then. Warner's doesn't serve dinner.
That's true.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Scott Helm, H-E-L-M.
With regard to the concept, Mr. Chairman, this will be Chez Hugo, not Chez Joey, a first-class French restaurant. Steve Monnier, who is in the middle here, is a French classically trained chef. He has over 20 years of experience, most recently at Arome in Hamden, that closed in November, and he will be full-time here. He's been a chef and a personal chef in California, in France. He is a killer chef.
Let's hope not.
Going back to my restaurant working lingo, a killer chef, yeah. And Jeffrey is also a chef, and Adam will be at the front of the house. The ownership is Mr. Helm and his wife Leslie own 50%, and Steve and his wife Florence own the other 50%. All three licensees will be full-time in the restaurant. The concept for this was, we have this beautiful idea of the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company on the corner of Calvert and Redwood, which was originally
One of the most unique buildings in Baltimore.
The bank that survived the Baltimore fire, that was started, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but by a Confederate general.
And no one ever notices the ball from across the street on Redwood Street that was fired during the War of 1812 or something, landed there.
Yeah. So anyway, the concept for this and the major renovations that you've seen, Mr. Chairman, is to have a first-class French restaurant next to the theater. They will certainly take customers from any place, but it's for convenience for theater goers that they can go to the restaurant and then go over to the theater. I think this is going to be a huge asset to our part of downtown here. As far as the technicalities, I'd submitted from Southway Building, the cost estimate, which is probably low, of $1,554,000. Almost everything's been spent and paid for. Expect to be asking for finals at the end of this month and hope to be open by perhaps March 1st. I know things usually take longer than what are estimates, but just about all of the improvements have already been made. As far as the seating, I also provided a seating chart, and I can provide extra copies of both of these. They were submitted with the packet. The seating shows 96 seats, which is over the 75 seats. And finally, Mr. Monnier has brought a menu, and I made 3 copies for the board, and you can see that it is a classic French restaurant. The applicants understand that there is a 65% food requirement, and they know that's a tough call, but they feel confident that they can do it.
And they have the background in alcohol?
Yeah, all the licensees have taken the alcohol awareness tests, training, I'm sorry. All of them have many, many years in the restaurant business and dealing with alcohol, even though I don't think anybody's technically been a liquor licensee before. They've all worked with alcohol for several years, and they understand their obligations. Everything else in the application, nothing has changed. Everything was accurate when filled out. And Ms. Jean here would like to say a few words about how this is going to help their effort to keep Shakespearean acting alive in Baltimore. State your name again for the record.
Thank you. My name is Jean, Jean Griffith, Griffith -Thompson.
I think I saw just yesterday that you're going to do a Winter's Tale in connection with the OSHA program at Hopkins. Is that correct?
We are working on the Winter's Tale. It's coming up in March. And the Odyssey School at Hopkins is also going to be teaching a class on the Winter's Tale.
That's the one I saw,
Students will be
yes.
coming to join us. I'm really excited about this. When we built our landmark theater inside of this wonderful building at the corner, the first question we had from Baltimoreans was, where will we park? That was the number one question. We solved that problem with a relationship with a nearby Aero parking garage. And now the number one question we receive is, where can I get dinner before the show? Because within walking distance of us, there's really no place to have a lovely dinner and then bring your family into the theater. You have to go over to Water Street, or you have to walk up to Prime Rib, and it's not always walkable for everybody. But to have a theater in the building next door, which we hope in the future will actually have a bridge over into, we're raising money now for a bridge connecting the two buildings. So the building that we're referring to was the Historic Merchants Club of Baltimore. None of you are old enough to have been in that club.
I'm afraid I am.
But we've also preserved the history of the building. In my position, I'm also sort of the amateur historian for the two buildings. And we truly believe that a restaurant will help the whole community, not just the theater. There are so many people staying at the 3 hotels on the corner who are looking for someplace nice that's right there in the community. It's good for all of us. As we promised when we came to town, that part of our mission would be to help restore that corner of downtown. And Werner's has hung on for a long time, and we love them. We eat there every day.
There's not much else around there.
There really isn't. But we think that having a lovely French restaurant in our building would be a fabulous addition to the whole community.
Interesting, because, the street was originally German Street, so you now have a French restaurant on German Street.
That's right.
Not to mention Shakespeare, I thought was British, and now you're partnering with the French.
We say Shakespeare's for everyone.
Commissioners, you have questions for the applicants?
I do. Mr. Previs, I don't have in my file the listing of investments, the list of total investments. If I could,
I made an extra copy.
thank you. I just wanted,
A seating plan, just in
Perfect.
case.
and if you or one of your clients could just speak, I'll look through this. If you could speak for the record, the kinds of what investment, what capital investment.
Call Mr. Scott Helm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, total budget's about $1.5 million. Seems like it should be less to me, but there it is. The equipment itself is about $450,000. That's kitchen equipment. The structure of the building is there are really two kitchens. There's the main prep kitchen down in the basement, which was the old main kitchen for the Merchants Club. Then there's a finishing kitchen where our chefs like to do their work and show off. That's on the first level. So
Wasn't
there's
the Culinary Arts Institute in there?
Culinary Arts Institute came after the Merchants Club, yes, exactly. And that was acquired by, I'm going to get this probably wrong, but Stratford University, and we bought the building then from Stratford University as excess surplus property. So there's about $400,000 of equipment. There is meaningful infrastructure improvements to HVAC and things like that. There are new bathrooms being put in to support the restaurant. There's all the kinds of furniture, fixtures, and finishes that you'd expect. There's new floor tile, there's new banquet seating. We have restructured the first floor to provide for the private dining room, where people can, instead of having the French bistro food, they can experience Steve's 6-course tasting menu, which he did at Arome's, which is, if you're a food lover, it's really spectacular. And then restructured the bar. So by the time you add all that up, it's way too much money, but there it is.
Thank you.
How expensive is the wine menu?
It'll range from 8 by the glass to, name is Adam Litchfield. The wine menu will range from 8 by the glass to a little bit over 20. By the bottle, it'll range from 40 to more.
Several hundred.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Previous, you want to submit your capital investment cost spreadsheet in your menu?
Yes, sir.
That'll be received. Anything further, Commissioner?
I'm good.
Okay.
Mr. Monier, do you want to address your menu, or did we cover you? We talked about you, but you didn't talk about you.
I think we have. That's
Thank you.
fine. Thank you. We will taste it, I promise you. So, anything further?
No, sir.
All right, on the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits that we've received, proffers from counsel, and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the application.
I concur.
I would as well, and applied both the Shakespeare and the licensee in kind of this new symbiotic relationship. I think it's great. Best
It's
of
a
luck.
very welcome addition to Baltimore. Thank you.
Call the exhibits for the record. Exhibit number 1 is a menu of Cafe Hugo. Exhibit number 2 is an expenditure breakdown. Mr. Previs?
Thank you so much.
Jordan Bass and Christian Hall, MD J3D Entertainment LLC, trading as Larry Flint's Hustler Club, 18 Custom House Avenue. This is a Class BD7, a beer, wine, and liquor license, and a Class AE, adult entertainment license. An application to transfer ownership of the Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, and Class AE, adult entertainment license, with continuation of a live entertainment. Please come forward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Previs on behalf of the applicants. This is certainly a contrast from my last hearing.
Are you the only attorney present this morning?
With me is newly admitted Mr. Harry Previs.
And when were you sworn in, sir?
November, it was 3 weeks ago, so December 18th.
Congratulations. You should remember that date. That's a lucky date for you.
That's the bar.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And who else is with us this morning?
Okay, the proposed licensees, Mr. Jordan Bass, Mr. Christian Hall, and one of the co-owners, Mr. Charles Bass are all.
Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is an application for transfer of ownership only of the Hustler Club. The technical address that's on the license is 18 Custom House, even though the Hustler's entrance is on Baltimore.
It's the old Gaiety, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Gaiety building, which houses several businesses. The Hustler Club is sometimes in the use permit in the building inspector's computer. It might say 403 East Baltimore Street, but the technical address for this space is 18 Custom House. There is no change of the floor plan or layout of the existing premises. There's no request to move anything. It's the current ownership has, well, they have a contract to purchase that ongoing business.
Okay, and what's the background on these gentlemen?
Okay, Mr. Jordan Bass and Charles Bass, who are here present today, Jordan will be a 30% owner, Charles a 30% owner. Another brother of theirs, Darren Bass, will own 23%, and another business partner of theirs, Mr. Jerry Kimball, owns 17%. Jordan and Charles will be full-time operators. They've already signed a lease to, there's a condo that the current Hustler ownership has down in Harbor, in Lighthouse Point. And they will be here. They live in New Jersey. One will be here at all times. They'll be rotating back and forth. It's a little less than a 3-hour drive from their house to here anyway. So, but they will be full
Unless they get stuck on 95.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which I do frequently.
They had a real fun drive this morning, but they're here. In any event, the terms of the basic terms of the contract, it's a $2 million purchase price with $200,000 down at settlement, plus inventory and plus everything else. You're probably getting closer to $300,000. The lease for that premises, it's an extensive premises. It's $30,200 a month currently. They have a 6-year lease with a 10-year option term. The name right now is the Hustler Club. They hope to continue with the licensing for the name of the Hustler Club. They may have to rebrand in a year or so. They're not sure. They have previous experience in the adult entertainment business. They have 20-plus years. Their business in New Jersey is called Babes. It's a BYOB adult entertainment premises. The family has previously owned Babes in New Orleans, most recently Houston, Texas, and New York. The earlier two businesses were sold. They had the place that they had on Bourbon Street. They ended up in a leasing dispute. It wasn't because of any type of violations or inappropriate activity. They know how to run a tight ship. They understand how difficult it is to operate an adult entertainment establishment and keep the upper hand to make sure that the business is run in a safe and lawful manner, and they have that experience.
Is the place in New Jersey in Atlantic City? No.
It's in New Brunswick? Burlington, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also with us here today is our Gilman graduate and Baltimore City resident licensee, Mr. Christian Hall. Mr. Hall works at Brown Advisory. He has agreed to go on this license. He will not be full-time at the premises, although he's met the Bass brothers and will be friendly and familiar with them. And if he gets any inclination that something is not operating lawfully and properly, he will not sit for that and will put his foot down. Mr. Bass has his appointment for his alcohol awareness class later today, and but he's fully familiar through me with the not just the alcohol rules and regulations, but the adult entertainment rules and regulations. And they have every intention of running this establishment as it has been under the prior ownership for the last 15-plus years as a well-run operation.
And I guess you gentlemen understand, because I'm sure both New Jersey and Louisiana have similar agencies to this liquor board, but we have the authority, if there are violations, to fine, to suspend license, to revoke licenses, and that sort of thing. So
I am aware, Mr. Chairman.
we're the oversight people.
Understood.
And we don't like to see you after we grant our licenses to people. We like you to run good businesses and stay away from us. So we hope that you're able to do that. Commissioners have questions?
None.
I think I do. So I just want to make sure I understand, Mr. Priebus. Who are the current? These are not. I thought I heard there was a bit of a reorganization.
No, sir. It's a total outright sale.
Fair enough.
The name Hustler Club is licensed. The current ownership is not owned by Larry Flint and the Hustler Club. The Jason Money, Mohney, is the current, or his entity is the current owner, and they are out of East Lansing, Michigan. And that Mr. Money and his family will be selling to the Bass family, and it's a totally arm's length transfer of ownership.
Understood, and I will say that the previous owner, the current owner, I should say, has a clean record, so they're doing something right in my book. The only other, I just have one comment, which is that I'd ask you, assuming we approve this, I'd ask that you keep an eye out for, which I know you'll do, not just public safety issues, but your employees or independent contractors. A lot of issues recently at the block with situations, health and otherwise. So you may hear some more from the Liquor Commission and others about it, but not in an invasive way, but I'd ask that you keep an eye out for these individuals who may have addiction issues.
And if I could just add to that, it might give you some solace, that Mr. Jordan Bass has been very actively involved with the group, the Association for Adult Entertainment, and has actually given talks and organized things at their annual convention in Las Vegas over the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So he is very actively involved with the industry and making sure things are run properly.
It's terrific. So Mr. Bass, you may hear from our agency in the coming days, but more importantly, Mr. Hall, do you get to go to that conference in Vegas as a 0% owner? I mean, is this the first you're hearing of it? All right, there's a question. Sorry. I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So on the basis that the materials contained in the application, proffers from counsel and testimony received this morning, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I agree.
I would, too, vote to approve the transfer of the liquor license and the adult entertainment license.
Thank you so
Both,
much.
yes. And good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hope things go well.
Questions, concerns, make sure you're in touch with the agency. Your lawyer can guide you, but we really are here to help, so.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No exhibits for the record.
Sheila Merritt, Merritt Athletic Clubs, B-3 LLC, trading as Merritt Athletic Clubs, Canton, 3401 Boston Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. A request to expand alcoholic beverage service to include entire enclosed premise, exterior first floor pool, and open-air rooftop restaurant area, and pool located above exterior parking garage on premises with continued live entertainment and outdoor table service. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Cananci representing the applicant.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hand, please? Are you going to testify, sir?
Okay.
Might as well be sworn in now.
How do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
For the record, Melvin J. Cananci representing the applicant. This is the current licensee is here, Celia Merritt, and they're redoing the building. I'm sure you're all familiar with it.
Actually, Commissioner Greenfield is a frequent.
I'm there every
flyer.
morning.
Is that you?
Yeah, I mean,
Yep. And
this, don't live there.
it's a little unusual because the first and middle level is one, and then they have 6 or 7 floors of parking, and then they're going to take the top deck and then make it into an additional area. That's the reason for the expansion. And I got some pictures. Whoops, I'm sorry. Basically, they're going to spend probably up to as much as $20 million in there.
You want to see the color?
I only have one color.
I'm good.
They have about 8,000 members, I guess, of which maybe 7,999 in yourself. And they've been there since 2008. It's not dissimilar to the other Merritt Athletic Clubs, you know, on Ford Avenue and other places they have. After a while, it comes to the point where they make these changes in the expansion and renovations, and they're upgrading, and that's what they're asking to do here. Once again, everybody wants to be up on a rooftop, you know, up on the roof. I think there's a song like that.
Carole King. What is the nature of the live entertainment?
Well, they were having, they would have pool parties and then have DJs and once in a while small combos and stuff like that, more of a amenity. It's not the kind of thing where it's a rock and roll place.
I'm going to defer to Commissioner Greenfield, who's more familiar. You have questions for them?
Well, just generally speaking, one question. So this is specific to the Canton Merit, and do I understand that you have a separate license for downtown? How does that?
Yeah.
So how does that work?
They're separate entities that are there. I did the one, I think, downtown and Fort Avenue. I didn't do this one here. Originally, they all come out of the Merritt Estate, Leroy Merritt, and since passed away. And then, of course, they have Merritt Development. They have a bunch of other spin-off companies.
And obviously, no issues with this license, clean history, and I could say great establishment. And whenever it's not frequent, the pool, and it's always well done, and you have people tending to it, and no one's really out to make. I'm now giving testimony, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. I don't have any questions. This is great.
I do. With all this readjustment and enclosures, how do you monitor who's drinking and whether or not they are of age?
Well, they would check, like when they walk up to the bar, they would check and ask them for their IDs, much as they would do in any other place that would be of a venue where they have multiple venues.
So the services up to the bar, they don't drop off at the pool location or
Well, depending on where the people are, if there's a private party somewhere and so forth, they would all have them, identified one way or the other. But it's never been a problem since they've had the license in '08 there.
But I'm looking at some different developments now. I mean, you said that you're going to include the entire enclosed premises. Is there some alteration being made there, this existing?
No, it's existing. It's an anomaly how this was issued, and one time it was issued for the whole building, so to speak, when it was issued. But now what we're trying to say is it doesn't include the parking areas between the floors, except for the top now.
So this is basically an expansion of the current license.
Correct.
To include the new area where you intend to.
And a renovation down in the other area. I think you've probably seen some of it going on.
I'm still not clear on how you monitor, though. I heard what you said, but I'm not clear.
Let me maybe help Commissioner Jones with some questions, if I could.
Oh, please.
So if a patron is being served at the pool, and is the waiter or waitress checking the ID at the time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's much the same as, remember the Bay Cafe had the pool right next door? They had that service. They'd have to go out there and check and make sure that they serve them. The situation is sometimes you get in one of these places, a big restaurant or something, it's much harder to monitor because to say the three of you come in and you have a person with you who's underage and then they sometimes sneak in, but it's up to the wait to check every one of those cards and make sure they are, it's the wait's responsibility, then falls back on the licensee.
Commissioner Jones, for some of us who have kids there, we do like to drink at the pool because it lessens the tension. But some of us are old
Sometimes you
enough.
drink because you do have the children there.
I'll let you say it.
It's not going to get any better, but thank you.
Okay.
Anything further?
Nothing I'd submit.
Okay. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits that have been received in evidence, the proffers from counsel, and the testimony, I'd vote to approve the expansion.
Can I just interrupt you 1 second? There was a letter that was sent from Dan Tracy at one time, and I don't know that it made it into the file. He had sent it to me, and I'll just send it to Mr. Page, but didn't get it because it had a typo in it. And I had sent it back to Dan saying typo for him to and they're in favor.
From the Canton Community
Yeah.
Association. This
And
is
if
from
you see where it
October.
says typo, and he just didn't resubmit it where it says typo.
Very impressive.
Oh, well.
It will be received. I would still vote to approve the expansion of the license.
Based on my colleague's explanation, I'm going to approve also.
Well, now I may have to deny it, Commissioner Jones, because you put me on the spot. Well, based on the testimony and the proffers from counsel, I too will approve.
Good luck. Thank you.
Call the exhibits for the record. Exhibit number 1 is pictures of the proposed finished renovation. Exhibit number 2 is a letter from the Canton Community Council signed by Daniel Tracy in support.
I'm gonna have to take a visit to that location.
Come on over, we'll have you.
Yeah.
Please. It's actually pretty nice.
Oh, no. Only if you take my.
John Zorzik, secured creditor, no trade name, 347 South Gilmore Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Let's see now. Yeah, still good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Sean Harvey, 309 South Conklin Street, Baltimore 21224,
Good
for
morning.
the applicant.
Good morning, Mr. Harvey.
morning.
Is anyone going to be testifying?
No, Your Honor, I'll
Okay.
just be proffering.
Okay, so we have a letter from you from September indicating that a public auction was set for October 12, and it doesn't appear that transfer of the license can take place before the expiration of the 180 days.
That's a pretty accurate statement, Mr. Chairman.
Did the auction go forward?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
And actually, we're pending settlement now. The timeline that the board has in its file should be accurate. I represent Mr. Zorzet, obviously, and he is the trustee for the benefit of Mary Jane Zorzet LLC, which was the secured creditor, which lent the prior licensee some business funds. And that's why we had to foreclose, because obviously there weren't any payments made. But in advance of the foreclosure sale, which was originally scheduled for May 1st of 2017, I did file on behalf of my client a substitute application with the board, paid those fees, and also actually paid for the license fee for the current year through the end of April. Apparently, and I wasn't aware of this at the time that I filed that substitute application, that the prior licensee apparently just brought his license in. He owed a fine, didn't want to pay it, he was angry, so he just brought his license in, turned it into the board in February. It was February 22nd, I understand. I wasn't aware of that, but in any event, the first foreclosure sale was scheduled for May 1st, and on that day, the prior licensee filed bankruptcy, and so basically told the 180-day period that you have to file for a hardship extension. I filed my hardship extension, or my client's hardship extension, on September 30th. I faxed it in. In your notes, I think you have it as being received as October 2nd, although I did fax it in on September 30th. And I did that after Mr. Vaccaro, who was the prior licensee, his bankruptcy was dismissed without discharge. Apparently he didn't provide all the documents or whatever, but that was done on September 14th. So according to the timeline, from February 22nd until September 14th of last year, the 180 days was told. So actually, when I did file the written request for the hardship extension on September 30th, it was timely.
Because the filing of the bankruptcy told it?
Yes.
Okay. And so you said you have a closing coming?
That's
Actually scheduled for
what I'm
today.
here for. I represent the prospective purchaser who bought it at auction, and unless the license is given the extension, then, we can't go through the Part B, and this is a representative of the purchaser here.
But you anticipate closing if it's approved?
In a couple of days, and then application.
actually today.
Well, it was turning to today, as soon as we iron a couple small things out, but then we put an application in to transfer within a week or two. But if the board grants the extension, they'll have, more than enough time to go
Understood.
ahead and do that.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions?
None?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Well, thank you, council. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, including your letter of September 30, 2017, the explanation from Mr. Harvey, and the explanation from Mr. Konensky, I would vote to approve the hardship extension.
I concur.
I would vote to approve as well.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibit?
No exhibits for the record.
That's the morning docket then?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the afternoon session of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, there being no preliminary matters on the PM docket, call the very first case. I think we're going out of order.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The last case, actually.
We're going to call the last case, case number 5 first. Christopher Brown and Evelise Contreras and Andrea Warfel, 511 South Central Beverage LLC, trading as Hyatt Place, Baltimore Inner Harbor, 511 South Central Avenue. This is a Class B beer and wine hotel motel license and application to transfer ownership, requesting live entertainment, outdoor table service, and delivery of alcoholic beverages via room service. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Linda Carter. I'm with the law firm of Myers, Rodbell, and Rosenbaum, and I greatly appreciate the board taking us first, and I apologize to the rest of your docket.
So it's my understanding you're not feeling well, and I'm not myself, so I'm more sympathetic.
so
That's okay.
fast.
But can I ask the other folks to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, so for anyone who's testifying today, when you step up, because we're recorded, you need to lean into the microphone. Give us your name first and spell it, please. Ms. Carter, will you want to proffer, or you want to
If I
elicit
could
testimony?
please, we have filed an application for transfer for 511 South Central Beverage LLC, which trades as the Hyatt Place, Baltimore Inner Harbor at 511 South Central Avenue in Baltimore. What has precipitated this change is the hotel owners have hired a new management company, which is Sage Hospitality. And I have with me Mr. Kelly, who is the general manager. I also have the 3 applicants, and I can actually personally vouch for them because I know them all very well. 2 of them are my employees, and one of them is the son of my senior paralegal. I would proffer for the board that all of the information that we filed in the application in reference to the 3 applicants and in reference to the property remain true and correct as we stand before you today. There are no amendments to the application, and everything else that we filed with the board is accurate to the best of our information and belief.
So the hotel's gone to a new management company. Are they employed by the new management company, or are they?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The general manager is employed by Sage Hospitality.
Okay. And the 3 licensees, do they have any experience in this world?
Yes, somewhat. Chris Brown is currently working at the Live Casino and has a non-gaming license.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 actually don't have experience. Well, you actually, oh no, I'm sorry. She was, Evelise Contreras was the hostess of the Citronelle in Washington, D.C. before she joined us.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea, I don't believe, has any experience. Andrea Warfel has no experience in the restaurant industry.
And are they
the
going to
hospitality
get the
industry.
training?
They are. They're all going to be alcohol awareness trained, and they understand that they have a responsibility to this board to make regular inspections of the premises. And they also understand that if there's a violation or if there are any tax issues, that this board and/or the state can hold them personally responsible for the same.
Right, and that, we're very conscious of making sure that people are ID'd, to make sure that we don't have underage drinkers, and that the alcohol is purchased from the appropriate wholesalers, and all of the requirements that we have, so that you don't have to appear before us for sanctions, fines, suspensions, revocations, or any of those
Mr.
problems?
Kelly is an experienced general manager. He's been with Sage for quite a while. He's been before at least 2 other liquor boards, one in Oklahoma?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, I apologize. In
Now, the
Colorado.
Sage name has a number of entities in Baltimore. Are you associated with?
Ours is the only property in Baltimore, so it must, yeah.
Okay.
something separate.
Sage is popular.
Yes, okay. All right, Commissioners, do you have questions?
I do. Mr. Kelly, your first name?
Nicholas?
I'm not a commissioner.
That's all right. The reporter can ask questions, too. Commissioners?
No, I don't have any.
Only question I have is, you had live entertainment, it exists, right, on the license?
Yes, and it was approved previously. I believe it was, I think Mr. Akris was kind enough to put together the pieces of the puzzle, and we're in the process of getting the permits rectified by zoning. And it appears that we're not going to have a hearing, that they're doing it all administratively, because it was all previously approved, but it was never properly documented.
Okay, so it was already approved, not previously documented?
Correct.
And so, okay.
And is that live music or DJ or what?
Mr. Kelly?
We have not done anything in the past there, but if, we do have some meeting space on property, so if anybody, if we have a wedding reception that wants somebody to play guitar or something like that, that was kind of the intention of it.
Okay.
Yeah, just for the board's information, the food-alcohol ratio, unfortunately, to Mr. Kelly's chagrin, is only about 2 to 5% alcohol. So he's working on actually trying to raise that. It's truly a convenience to the residents of the hotel.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing further, then on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits that will be received, the proffers from counsel and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I agree also.
I concur. Good luck.
Thank you
Luck to you.
so much. And a special thanks to your staff for helping us to get here today.
Well, they're always available to your clients if they need help.
They are amazing.
If I may call the exhibits for the record, exhibit number 1, applicant's exhibit, collective exhibit, South Central Beverage LLC, purchase price, housing information, and photographs.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Feel better.
Now that we're all infected, we can move forward.
Gee whiz. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kwong E. Lee and Vincent Edwards, Elite Inc., trading as Jason's Liquor, 1209 West North Avenue. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, representing the applicants.
Good afternoon. May I ask you gentlemen to raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
This is a transfer of an existing location. Mr. Kwong Lee was a former licensee in Park Heights for 20 years. The city took his property for condemnation. He was there through maybe the end of, in 16 or so he's been out of business about a year. He's seen this particular location and decided to purchase it. He's not going to make any changes to it other than he's probably going to add the lottery, which they didn't have here. In addition to that, Mr. Vincent Edwards here, we refer to him as St. Vincent because he lives like a block and a half away. He likes that little moniker. And he's been in the neighborhood for 20 years. He's going to help out, make sure he gets introduced to the people in the neighborhood. His son is here with him, who also worked in the other liquor store.
Does Mr. Vincent live in Baltimore? It says here he lives in Chester, Pennsylvania.
I live in Baltimore, right around the corner, Utah place.
Well, why do they think you live in Chester, Pennsylvania?
That's where I was born at.
Oh, okay.
It's a big casino there now.
Okay.
Mr. Harris.
Okay.
See how Larry knows. He's back there laughing. So it's just a transfer. Man has 20-something years of experience. Why he wants to get back in the liquor store business, that's their choice. But
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I do. Mr. Lee, any issues with your previous license at Lowell Liquors?
예전에 했던 수학에서 무슨 he's had a lot of theft and burglary in the
Theft and burglary, but not the issues.
We should probably start over, because there's a translator, right?
Yeah, I don't even have his name. What's your name?
Tae, T-A-E, Lee, last name L-E-E.
Do you want me to swear him in?
Please.
I think you should.
You swore him, he was sworn in, but he didn't swear him as an interpreter.
Raise your right hand, please.
Yes.
Is this Korean we're doing?
Yes,
Yeah.
Korean.
Do you swear or affirm to translate the proceedings from English to Korean and Korean back to English to the best of your ability?
Yes.
So, any issues with respect to violations? I'm sorry about the burglaries, but any issues related to citations, underage drinking, anything at Laurel?
그런 이거 술 팔 때 뭐 그런 아까 금방 theft하고 그런 거 말고 술 팔 때 20년 안에 뭐 애들한테 술 판 두 번. He said in the 20 years 2 times.
I'm sorry.
2 times over 20 years.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you owned it from 95 to 2016?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Harvey? Okay, thank you. Anything further, Mr. Kaczynski?
Nothing further to submit.
Right. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from counsel, and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur.
I vote to approve as well. Good luck.
No exhibits for the record.
He's alcohol awareness, but
What?
That one's over.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I don't think anyone was.
it's a little testy, doesn't he?
He has a newborn.
John Kovakovich Jr., Amendment 21 Inc., trading as Amendment 21, 4924 Hartford Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership, requesting delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky representing the prospective licensees.
Good afternoon. Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You do?
This is a transfer of an existing liquor store. Actually, the applicants have been in there working for the past like 7 months or so, met with the community. I must say this is probably, I'm glad we're on TV, it's a milestone that I got Mr. Hilliard over on this side for a change.
I noticed that.
And you'll see that there's a letter from Harbell in the file for approval. There was a letter from the councilman, and I understand there may be a couple more in there from the community groups that I don't have. The gentlemen are familiar with the neighborhood. They're taking over the existing location. They've been there for the last 7 months, and they're making every changes. And I'm pleasantly say that the neighborhood and the other groups, community groups, are in their favor.
And what is Mr. Kovacevic? Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes.
Kovacevic. What's your background, sir?
I've run, currently for the last 14 years, I've had a warehousing business in the same neighborhood. And prior to that, I had the same business that I was doing in New Jersey. And prior to that, I was working in the hospitality business down in Florida.
Okay. And how long have you been working at this establishment?
About 7 months.
Okay. And is he trained?
Yeah, they'll have the alcohol awareness certificates. We'll submit them, yeah.
Okay. And is this Mr. Wace?
Yes.
Okay. And are you going to be working in the business as well, sir? And he's trained also?
Yes, we're going to both alcohol distinct.
Okay.
And you want to hear from Mr. Hilliard? Because he
certainly.
came down.
One sec, I don't have his name, Mr. Wace.
Works, Ways,
Thanks for the last name.
W-A-S-E.
Thank you.
Mr. Hilliard.
Mr. Kovakovich is being somewhat modest. He's been a business owner, as he said, for over a decade in the greater Laurelville business area. He's been active in the Laurelville Business Association. He's active in Hamilton, Laurelville, Main Street. For years, he has been chair of the Civilian Review Board of the Greater Laurelville Urban Renewal Plan. And he also is a key person in ensuring the Greater Laurelville Fair happens every year. He is extremely well known to the community in Harbell and the business community. And candidly, he's the type of licensee we would like to see operate a business in the area. He's already significantly improved the stock in the building, and he has already come up with some preliminary architectural drawings for significantly improving the building and its facade once he actually takes possession of the building and has the capital to do it. So we are very happy to see him take over this license.
Well, thank you. Commissioners?
No, I'm looking for good, competent people in that neighborhood. I don't live too far from it. So I'm just about maybe 3 or 4 blocks away, so I'm looking forward to you coming in if you are approved.
The only question I had, and first of all, I want to thank you and applaud you for all you do in the community, because the letters are, you know, are a testament to that. But I see from the application that you own a distillery?
I did.
You did? Okay, so tell us about that.
The opportunity came to that Laughlin Distilling came to us at the CRP, which was the Civilian Review Panel. I had space in my warehouse facility that could accommodate him. We entered a partnership agreement. I have since exited that so that I could own the liquor store.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits, including the 3 letters in support, the proffers of counsel, and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve as well. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hope you feel better, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Calling the exhibits for the record, Exhibit number 1, a letter of support from Harbell Community Organization. Exhibit number 2, letter of support from Councilman Ryan Dorsey. Exhibit number 3, a letter of support from the Waltherson Improvement Association.
Well done. Thank you.
Zhu Yin Yi, Yang Zhang Company, trading as Yuang Zhang Liquor and Grocery, 300 North Gilmore Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Jay Yu, representing the the applicant, Ms. Su Yan Ye.
Ladies, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Counsel, you want to tell us about your clients?
Yes, actually, she's here to interpret in case
So I'll ask our reporter to swear it. What, would this be Korean as well?
Actually, is it Mandarin or is
Mandarin.
it Mandarin?
Mandarin, okay.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to translate from Mandarin to English, or from English to Mandarin, and from Mandarin back to English to the best of your abilities?
Yes.
And can I get your name and spelling?
May, M-E-I-L-I-U.
E-I.
L-I-U.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. This is a request for transfer of the liquor license based on a stock transfer. Mrs. Ye is taking over the corporation from her sister-in-law, who's Miss Bao Lin, who's the current licensee. So it's not an asset transfer, rather it's a stock transfer where the corporation remains the same and all the business assets are continue to be owned by the corporation, which is the Yuan Zhang Company. So we're trying to get Ms. Ye to be qualified as a licensee so that she can be wholly interest holder of the corporation. Ms. Ye is a 4-year resident of Baltimore City. She's a registered voter, and she's a property owner for the past 4 years and a taxpayer. She will be 100% stockholder of the corporation, which is Yuan Zhang Company. She has a clean record. She has no traffic or criminal convictions, and I believe she is a person with good moral character. She is familiar with the rules and regulations of the Baltimore City Liquor Board, and also she has been certified as a alcohol awareness program since May of 2016. she has been working with her sister-in-law at this location, operating and managing the business. So she's experienced now, and she's fully aware that all the beer, wine, and liquor has to be purchased from a authorized wholesaler or distributor, and that anyone under 40 has to be ID'd to be served. And she does understand that all the invoices, the purchase invoices for beer, wine, and liquor, and also employee records needs to be kept so that the inspectors can come and readily inspect.
And how long has Ms. Ye been working there?
She's been working there since, I believe, 2016.
2016.
2016, about May or thereafter?
The April.
April.
April, okay.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
Just one, Mr. Yu, can you just explain the BMZA issue?
Yes.
Wasn't there a request for a deli or
Yes.
grocery store that was, can you just explain that?
Yes, basically, back in August of 2016, the transfer application was submitted, but then again, my client asked me to have the accessory use as a deli. So I applied for the zoning appeal, which was submitted on the September 6th of 2016, which was denied on September 20th, 2016 at the hearing. Thereafter, I did submit to the liquor board that this will be continued use as a liquor store only, and that I submitted the revised flow diagram, which indicates that there will be no deli or no grocery stuff. It's just the usual snacks and soft drinks and stuff like that. Yes.
I'm just curious why they deny it.
On that particular day, the zoning commissioners decided to.
It wasn't
refuse.
that there were a number in the vicinity or anything like
I
that?
believe there's a grocery store right up the block.
I
Maybe
understand.
that might
Okay.
be the reason.
Commissioner Jones, do you have any questions?
None?
Are you all right?
Yeah, just kind of.
Okay.
Sinus problem.
Okay. Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the transfer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I concur also.
I vote to approve as well.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits for the record.
Cassandra Raymond, CKJ Inc., trading as Get It In, 1401 East Clement Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Counsel.
For the record, Melvin J. Cadency, representing the applicant.
Good afternoon. Can I ask you folks to raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you like us to translate into Mandarin for you?
No,
I'm
I'm
the
actually
interpreter.
fine.
Use a Mandarin orange. It's cold. This is a transfer in an existing location. For a long time, it used to have a very good reputation for food, and then afterward, it sort of dropped down. Mr. Samuels and Miss Raymond have contracted to go ahead and take over, and they actually been in there working the last 3 or 4 months. They're putting a Caribbean-type menu in there. The neighborhood is taken to it very well, and both of them are alcohol certified. I'll give you copies of their certification.
Thank you. They'll be received.
Both of them will be working the establishment. Mr. Samuels has been involved in the alcoholic beverage business for a number of years, different locations, and Ms. Raymond, of course, has been working there for the last 4 or 5 months or so.
Okay. And do the commissioners have questions?
I don't.
Do either applicants have experience in this?
Mr. Samuels has.
I do.
Yeah, can you speak to your?
Yeah,
As
why
far
don't
as
you-
first,
just give
I
your name
was-
and address first.
My name is James Samuels. My address is 2507 Talbot Road, Baltimore, Maryland 21216. Basically, I used to work for a bar called Isis Lounge, and I used to work for another bar, which is Macio's, which is a long-standing establishment in Baltimore City, 1926 North Monroe Street as well.
In what capacity did you?
Well, I was a manager there. I oversaw the kitchen there.
And you never had any issues when you were?
Oh, no, not at all, not at Macio's.
This establishment seems to have a clean record as well.
Yep.
So, Commissioner
And the
Jones?
neighborhood there has been outstanding down the Locust Point, too.
Okay.
Submit.
On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council and the testimony received, and the exhibits that have been received, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I think I've been in that bar called Maceo once or twice. in my life.
But it's been there like almost about, what, 35 years?
Tons of years, yes.
Yes, but it's under new ownership now.
But, I have nothing negative to say about that, so I can agree with you.
Oh, good.
If Commissioner Jones has nothing negative to say about it, then I would concur with Commissioner Jones. Good luck.
Good luck, folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, applicant exhibit number 1, alcohol awareness certificate for Cassandra Raymond. Exhibit number 2, an alcohol awareness for James Samuels.
Mr. Page, I believe that that's our docket. I'd adjourn until next Thursday.
It does, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until Thursday, January the 11th, 2018.
Wow.
At 11 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.